Yay. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Susan. So this one goes where? Oh, here it is. Okay, this one goes off. This one is on. Okay. Give me a sign. Give me a sign. I have a short story that I was going to share this morning, and then as the week went on, I needed to, make my talk shorter so that it fit into a more prescribed time. So I ask you, do you want to hear the story, or you want me to just go into the talk? Story, yes. Story, yes. Okay, so this woman walks into her new doctor's office and sits down, and she's in there for about 4 minutes, and all of a sudden you hear her screaming, and she comes racing out of the office and racing down the hall. And an older doctor, one of the, like resident guys that has been there for a while, is standing in the hall and going, what in the world? And he follows her down the hall and stops her and says, let's go sit in this room and for a minute and settle down, calm down, and see what's going on. So they go into the room and they sit down and they talk for a while. And he gets up and then he walks down the hall to the new doctor's office, walks in, and he says, what the heck do you think you're doing? This woman, Mrs. Myers, is a 63-year-old woman. She has 4 grown children who have children of their own. So she has grandchildren, she has great-grandchildren. And you tell her she's pregnant? And the young new doctor is looking at his clipboard and he says, does she still have the hiccups? Oh, thank you. I saw that and I said, oh, that is such a good one. We just have to do that. So have you ever found yourself in a challenging time? No, never. You can leave now, leave it. Yeah, most of us, I think, have found ourselves in a challenging time. And, one of the things that we often do when we're challenged is we start to pray. We start to ask for what it is that we need, what it is that we want, healing, financial assistance, whatever it is. And we after a while learn to pray and release those things that are bothering us so that we're not carrying that energy with us any longer. But the question I want to ask you is, when we start that prayer process and we're in a challenging time, what is it that you're seeking from God? What is it that you want from God, that you would approach him? I'm going to use that pronoun for this talk anyway. So one of the things we want to know is, am I on the right path? Am I on the right path? Should I stay the course in this plan, this idea, this intention? Or should I make a change? Is now the time to make a change? Tell me. Tell me. Do you ever wish God would give you a sign? If you do, what is your expectation? What would that sign look like? What would it feel like? And how would you know that it's really from him? How would you know that it's not some voice in your mind that's talking to you? How would you interpret the message? Because God tends to speak to us in pictures and symbols, and dreams in all different kinds of ways. How would you apply the guidance? Or would you? You ask for guidance, you get it. Do you always apply it? So, this is a sign. This is a sign. What are we really saying to God when we ask for a sign? Is his guidance not clear enough for us to understand? Will a special sign make it clearer? If you are a Bible reader, then you know that God used to talk to his people. There's stories in the Bible where God talked to his people. Does he still talk to his people? Yeah, Eva says yes. Eva says yes. Does he talk to you? Does he talk to you, Susan? Yeah. Yeah. Jerry, does he talk to you? Jerry, come back. Does God talk to you? He was talking to you right then, right? Yeah. Yeah. It's his guidance. Let's see, we said, and how do you recognize when he does? How do you recognize when God is speaking to you, when God is sending you a message? You're at peace, loving. All right, bring it on. You're gonna have to change that, I think. Yeah, bring it on. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Right. Yeah. Sometimes, sometimes do you hear a voice? Yeah. Sometimes you hear a voice. Sometimes is there like dreams? Dreams deliver messages. Um, right. Automatic writing. Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Yes. Yes. But we're all one, right? We're all one. And so God is in each one of us. And so that's the God in that person that's speaking to you. Yeah. Yeah. Great. The terms signs and wonders occurs 31 times in the Bible. It refers to experiences that appear to be miraculous, but which are normal in the Christian experience. And I wanted to clarify that because this too is a sign. This too is a sign. A sign is anything that we assign a different meaning to. It represents that sign, that communication from God. Some of us had written our letters to God, or from God, our letters from God earlier in the year, and you got those back as you came in. So that's always an interesting time. Comes back in about 6 months, and you get a chance to see what was God telling me 6 months ago, and how is that showing up in my life now. So we got those back today. A gift. The gift of a sign, the gift of the sign is its purpose to stimulate our faith and trust in God and in his love for us. That's the whole purpose of the sign. The sign is there to show us to give us the message, to give us the indication and the experience that God is there for us. God is helping us. God is showing us the way. God is preparing the way for us as we go through whatever this challenging time might be. Their stories of signs and wonders appear in the Old Testament, as well as many more in the New Testament. In the Old Testament, God presents himself to Moses in the form of the burning bush, and Moses recognized him. Moses recognized that this was God. Moses was asked, maybe asked as to like, Moses was instructed that he would be the deliverer of the Israelites out of Egypt, where they were in slavery, in bondage. And God gave him 3 signs that he could use to convince the Israelites that Moses was his chosen person. Moses was the one that was going to lead them out of there. So one of the signs was Moses used a walking stick. And this walking stick is sometimes called a rod. And so he was to throw the rod down on the ground. And when he did that, the rod would turn into a snake. And then he was to pick that snake up by its tail. And when he did that, the snake would turn back into a rod. That was one of the signs. Another of the signs was Moses was told to put his hand in his chest. He put his hand in his chest and it became leprous. Leprosy was a big deal in those days. It was incurable. And then he was instructed to put his hand back into his chest, and it came out clean. And Exodus 16:28, Yahweh, God's name in the Old Testament, the way that we saw him, that caricature that we saw him as, proclaimed, I am Yahweh, your healer. That was pretty powerful for me to read this week. Water was turned into blood. I have the vision of the movie in my head, Exodus, where the river is flowing through the place there, and it turned into blood. Moses showed this sign, and the 3 signs together did convince the Israelites, the children of Israel, that Moses was indeed the deliverer from Yahweh. Sometimes it takes a sign. Sometimes it makes us comfortable to have a sign. In the New Testament, in the Gospel of John, the whole Gospel of John is about Jesus and his signs and his healings and all of the works that he did. So the very first sign that he did was to turn water into wine. This was at the marriage in Cana. Friends of his were getting married. They ran out of wine. They brought him water and said, "Will you turn this into wine?" Okay. Yeah. So not necessarily what you would think of as a spiritual experience, other than the fact that it was a transformation. It was something unusual. It was a miracle for these people to receive that gift. And that wine was the good wine. They were told, you saved the good for the very last. Yeah. Several healings are depicted in the book of John, the Gospel of John. The healing of the nobleman's son, and the boy was near death and was not even there where they were. But Jesus sent that energy, that thought, that power to the boy, and he was healed. The lame man at the pool of Bethesda, who'd laid, I love this story, who had laid there for 38 years by the pool. And whenever the water stirred, that's when, if you were sick, you could get into the pool and you would be healed. For 38 years, he was there. And he was never able to be the one to get into the pool because of his lameness. And I always think about that and wonder, 2 more years, 40. Because 40 is a very powerful number. 40 is as long as it takes, is however much time it takes. And there are several others. I won't go through those since I got to do my story. But the signs of the Gospel of John are written so that people could believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that by believing that we can have life in his name. We're talking about that life, that connection with spirit, that sweetness that we have with God. If I ask for a sign, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Sometimes we can do things, but maybe if we're not doing it necessarily for the right reason, or is that something that is overstepping our bound? What about a sign? Well, the danger in asking for and receiving a sign is that we may become distracted from the power of the miracle that is before us, which is God is active in our lives today. God is here now. God is. They just sang, God is. And the Bible, Matthew 6:33, tells us first to seek the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and then all of these things will be added to you. So a sign may be helpful because it helps me to solidify my faith, but it's not absolutely necessary if I go to God first. I ask for guidance when I'm making a decision. It could be a simple decision or a complex decision. Cat food. That's not always so easy. Should I buy this cat food for my 17-year-old cat? So I hold a can in my hand, and I hold a question in my heart. And I get a sense of knowing, yes, this is good. She will like this. It's salmon. Yeah. Another question, should I agree to surgery with the doctor in Seattle, or should I go with the doctor here in Port Angeles? How does that answer feel? How does that answer feel in my heart and in my mind? We do receive truth answers from Spirit. So I invite you right now to relax and close your eyes and say to yourself, my name is John. My name is John. Didn't hear anybody say it. So how does that feel when you say that to yourself? How does that feel in your mind? How does that feel in your heart? Not right? Not this lifetime? Yeah. So it's an inner feeling that we get, and this is the way that God speaks to us in many cases, is just to give us a feeling, inspire us with a feeling in our heart, in our mind. So if I'm not John, and I'm not, we may feel discomfort, we may feel unsettled, a sense of unknowing, and we know that it's not true. We know that it's not true. So one more time, Relax, close your eyes, say to yourself, my name is, and this time say your name. My name is Donna. My name is Donna. So how does this feel in your mind and in your heart? Affirming? Yeah. Energetic? Excellent.
I know my name is Charles, but there's something behind that bigger.
Okay, what's that? Ah. So what are you going to do with that information? You're going to, excellent, excellent. Find out what that is. What is that essence that's behind? Yeah, very good, very good. That's how the messages come. Sometimes it's, I'm asking for one thing and I get something else altogether. I have long desired to have a close relationship with God since I was a young girl. Since I was a young girl, I have known that I was here to be a companion for God. And I have learned how to listen. I'm still learning how to ask. I am learning how to release expectations and place my full 100% trust in God. I have learned to pray for the highest and best for all concerned. And I know that the problem, the question, is already solved. I know that. Those are the things I know to be true. So I invite you to join with me in a moment of quiet, and I'm going to say one of my very favorite prayers. This is the prayer for guidance, and this is my standby prayer. This and the prayer for protection. Reveal what needs to be revealed. Heal what needs to be healed. Lead me where you need me. And speak to me in ways that I always clearly understand. Thank you, God. And so it is.